Many ham radio operators operate HF mobile using one of these, a microphone, handheld microphone. Many of them operate on the move, but others operate static mobile for safety reasons. What about operating CW, Morse Code, actually on the move? I've been trying it out. For all your ham radio needs, check out the Waters & Stanton website. Great prices, great part exchange deals. There's a link below this video. Don't worry, I wasn't actually driving the vehicle at the time. The opportunity arose a little while ago when we were driving down to pick up a friend of my wife. And on the way back I decided to sit in the back of the vehicle and try operating CW mobile. Let me show you what I was using and how it worked out. The car's a small saloon car, and I mounted one of the diamond monoband whips, in this case 20 metres, on the roof of the car, and I always add a line isolator to prevent RF being picked up on the coax cable. It makes adjustment of the antenna and VSWR readings much more sensible. On this occasion I was using the Icom IC-705 in a small carry case, which also contained the DC lead and the Morse key. So why did I choose the Icom IC-705? Well, I've had this one for around about 3 years now. It's quite a beast actually. It's quite rugged. It's quite a weight. It feels solid. The battery on the back lasts quite a long time actually. Now this radio only gives 5 watts out from its internal batteries, but it will give 10 watts out. And this is the radio that I tend to use if I'm going to go off somewhere and not quite know which bands I want to operate on, particularly because it covers 2 meters and 70 sems. So it's a nice radio that covers a wide range of frequencies. It's got a nice dial. I'm not sure you can see that on the camera there because of the light. It's got a nice clear dial, very easy to read, got an excellent menu system, and it works extremely well on CW. I can adjust the pitch, the speed of the key and so forth, and altogether it really is a nice radio. It's not the cheapest radio, but I would venture to say it's probably one of the best for portable operation. Now, I know it doesn't have an internal antenna tuner. That's always been a bit of a niggle for quite a few people. Basically, I don't really find that too much of a disadvantage. I tend to use resonant antennas when I'm out mobile, and that then doesn't really present too much of a problem at all, because you don't need an antenna tuner, and obviously any loss that you get in an ATU doesn't exist. But I do take the point, some people want an ATU. I personally am quite happy with it as it is. It sits in the car nicely. As for power, well, yes, it will give 10 watts. I personally am not keen on operating high power mobile, and I will come back to that some future date, but I feel there is a possible health and safety issue running high power mobile. So when I'm out mobile, I never run more than 10 or 12 watts for that reason really, and also it's good fun. The antenna socket on the side of the IC705 is BNC, so if you've got a PL259 connector on the end of your cable, you'll need an adapter. I put a Farad choke on the DC lead to stop RF getting into the electrics, because it's an all electric car, and that DC lead will not only give you 10 watts, it will also charge the battery. The CW paddle key is connected using a 3.5 stereo type plug. Now, something I found when trying to operate CW in a car is that you really need to be able to hold the key in your fist. It's much easier to hold the key in your fist like that rather than put it on a surface. It makes it unstable. And I found that if you hold it in your fist, it's remarkably easy to do. And I've fallen in love with this little key that I've had now for about 2 or 3 weeks. And again, I'll put a link below this video to show you this key. It's nice because it folds up, folds away, fits easily into the little case that I've got for taking the gear around. pulls out, tighten the knob there, and you've got this key. It really feels nice. I've had no issues with it whatsoever, and all I can say is that it does what it says on the box. Japanese, by the way, it's made in Japan. But yeah, I really like this key. So let me describe the setup that I've got and then I use for this CW test going mobile. IC-705 running on its internal battery, so it was giving me 5 watts out. I had a resonant antenna. I say resonant, actually it was resonant at about 14.175, so I was operating down the CW end off the edge of the sort of bandwidth of the antenna, but it seemed to work fine. I should point out that the diamond monoband antennas are fully adjustable. You can adjust them anywhere in the band with a little clutch arrangement just here. So it was just a question that the antenna wasn't resonant higher up the band, and we were doing 50 miles an hour in the car. There was a bit of noise from the car, which I don't know where that was from. There's a bit of noise from the car, but it didn't mask anything more than about S5 or 6 I could hear. But I was quite impressed. Now, the first thing I did was try out reverse beacon, because I had an iPad in the back of the car. I had the complete kit. I had an iPad in the back of the car, and I was using my mobile phone as a hotspot. And so I sent out several CQs, G30JV/M, and then I looked at reverse beacon, and I'll put up on the screen now the reverse beacon results that I got, which were quite encouraging. You'll see the result of the CQ call. There was quite a few stations reported back, and in fact 2 were over 1,000 miles. So quite good results there. On the second screen here you'll see the signal levels. One interesting one is that one of the long distance contacts was 20 dB, which is very respectable. Bear in mind I was travelling along at around about 50 or 60 miles an hour, so there was QSB, but nevertheless the signal strengths are quite impressive. Well, that trip was a few days ago, and the best contact I had was with RK3Q, which was just over 1,600 miles. The other contacts I had were Western Europe, really, basically Germany, Spain, Portugal and Italy. But it was good. In many respects I was quite surprised at the results I got, particularly as I was running just 5 watts. Now the interesting thing is about CW, there are a number of advantages. Now first off, it's a digital mode, but the advantage of CW is that you don't need a computer. You've got a digital mode, you don't need a computer, all you need is a pair of ears. Secondly, you're always transmitting at full power, so unlike SSB where you've got an average power of say 2.5 watts with 5 watts peak, with CW, like a lot of data modes, you'll transmit it at full power. Every time you send a signal it's 5 watts, so you've got a 3 dB gain at least over SSB. You've also got a weak signal gain. You can copy CW signals right down into the noise level, signals that you couldn't copy on SSB. So you can also use narrow filtering, and narrow filtering improves the signal to noise ratio. So you've got another 2 or 3 dB of gain. So probably you've got a gain of something like 6, 7, 8 dB over SSB. Now I must emphasise that you should not try and send CW if you're the driver of the vehicle. It's an absolute no-no. But if you're a passenger, and in my case I put on a pair of headphones, you're a passenger, you'll put on a pair of headphones, you're not distracting anybody at all because you're not talking, you're sending CW, the paddle key is silent and signals you're receiving are just in your headphones. So it's a totally silent environment, and it's very friendly with those that may not be interested in ham radio. Of course, not everybody wants to operate CW or indeed is interested in operating CW. One other advantage of CW though is that there's no language barrier. If you think about it, you can have a very simple QSO on CW without any knowledge of the language of the recipient, because you've got signal strength, RST, you've got things like QSB, OP for operator, and of course your name you'll spell in whatever your name is. And so you can also exchange weather, like WX weather, and TEMP temperature, and then the temperature, etc. So even if you really have got no command of the language of the recipient, you can have some basic QSOs. And in fact, this is one of the things that you can do on CW, which you probably can't do on SSB. You can work stations that can't speak your language. On CW, you can have basic, simple QSOs, so that's another interesting advantage. Now, I use the Icom IC-705, as you know, because that's a transceiver that I quite like. But I've also used the Xiegu XG6100 since, and that works very well. That's got a built-in antenna tuner, and it's a lot cheaper. So if you want to try CW on the move, there's a number of choices. The Xiegu 6100, the FT817, the FT818, and the G90 if you want a bit more power. That's 20 watts. It's going up the scale a bit, but there's a number of choices. So if you're a CW operator, then I would encourage you to try this out if you are a passenger in the vehicle. A little bit of unusual activity, but I think I'll try it on a few more occasions when I'm a passenger in the car. The NZART, New Zealand Association of Radio Transmitters, have been cleared to operate on the 60-metre band. CW is mostly on 5353, digital modes on 5357, SSB is on 5360 or on 5363, and SOTA operators can often be found on 5363. When the band is open to Europe, check CW on 5354. There's a few pictures we took when we recently visited the Friedrichshafen ham radio show in Germany. If you're interested in learning Morse code, then we publish a book called The Secret of Learning Morse Code, and I'll put a link below this video to our website. On the 3rd of July, PJ4MM achieved a first by having an FT8 QSO with Spain. The following day he also worked Spain again and Portugal, but unfortunately narrowly missed having a QSO with Switzerland. And finally, there's an excellent website run by the Essex CW Amateur Radio Club. Again, I'll put a link below this video. Check it out. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to check our website, the Waters and Stanton website. All sorts of offers. There's a lot of new products going up there at the moment, I noticed. So check our website. And I thank you for your support through buying equipment from us, and whether it's mainline equipment, accessories, etc. And of course I also thank you for your support on this channel. It's much appreciated. I do like reading all the various comments you make. I can't reply to them all, it's totally impossible, but also some of the ideas you put forward for future videos. It's quite interesting. So thanks for your support. You take care, and as usual I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye for now.